I'm Rodney Snare and I'm 72. I was working for a caravan company and I was a wood machinist, and the idea was that we were cutting asbestos sheeting to go behind the heaters in the caravan. I just got an ordinary cold and suddenly I got a cough, and the cough itself was irritating. It wasn't one that you could get hold of, and normally I say it's because I've laid down, but it wasn't. And I went to the doctors and they turned around and said, we'll have to look up your records and have you had chest x-rays, and I'd had none.
Well, he'd always been so fit. He had always done everything through scouting, canoeing, whitewater rafting. He'd never been an inactive person. He was always doing something. Motor racing he enjoyed. To see him struggling was very difficult, very hard to understand. It wasn't how all the years I'd known him, and I've known him since I was 6, it wasn't the Rodney that I quite knew.
A couple of days, I think, they rang us up and said, Mr. Wheels wants to see us, and he said there's a mark on their x-ray, and he said I'll send you to Papworth. I'm going to make a booking for you to go to Papworth, because he was not happy on what he could see on my lungs. She said, I've got some good news and bad news. I thought, what's he on about? And then next minute she just said, well, I'd got this related to asbestos. And have you ever thought of anybody hitting the wall? It looks like I just drove into the wall. I was 3 times down in London to see a doctor. I went Bedford to see a doctor. We went to Addenbrooke's, that was it. Papworth was 3 times, 4 times. And then there was the locals wanted to see me as well, so there's that lot as well. But the main one, we had to go all the way down to London. I think it was twice to see a specialist down there for the other side. But what is happening was this is what getting me and I went all that way, and when I walked out, they couldn't tell me nothing. I don't know if you can understand that, but you sit in the doctors and they talk about related, and this is related and that to your asbestos, but when you walked out, you didn't know no better, because nobody could tell you, so that worried us a hell of a lot. So that's why when we met, her relationship between us helped us, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Excuse me.
We were struggling with absolutely everything and trying to come to terms with everything.
When Rodney first came to see me at Access Legal, he explained how he'd been exposed to asbestos whilst working at a caravan company in Newmarket.
Handshake did
that
it,
first handshake and that first
handshake.
Meeting, we felt relaxed and we thought, this is somebody here that I really think is going to help us. Is going to see us through this terrible fog and mess that we're in.
She was the first person that actually knew what the word meant.
Yeah.
We've been through a lot of people, doctors and, other people, and then nobody was saying, what's that? But Sarah was the first person that actually knew what we were talking about, which gave us a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
A heck of a lot of confidence.
It was great. And she went through everything slowly and no jargon, just plain, simple talk that we could understand.
One of the complications we had on this case was the fact that liability or responsibility for exposing Rodney to the asbestos was never formally admitted by the other side. Therefore, we had to trace witnesses who'd worked with him back in the 1960s and 1970s who could confirm what he said about the asbestos exposure. And we were actually able to trace 2 men who were willing to assist in the claim and provided statements which confirmed that they were exposed to asbestos. Certainly enough information out there for employers to know the risks involved. He should have been provided with proper personal protective equipment, and by just making available white cloth masks wasn't sufficient. That doesn't protect people against breathing in asbestos fibres.
What the settlement has done for us actually is helped us modify the house so that I can move around and I don't have to go upstairs, downstairs with a toilet. The family is actually, they're really pleased with the settlement because it's actually stopped the pressure from them worrying how we were going to live.
As part of the negotiation of the settlement of Rodney's claim, I ensured that we settled it on a provisional basis. And what that means is he received compensation now for the problems and the illness and the difficulties he suffers with now. But it does also mean that he has the opportunity to go back to the court and seek further compensation if he is unfortunate enough that his condition deteriorates further and causes him further respiratory disability. It also gives him the opportunity, if he's unfortunate enough to develop one of the asbestos-related cancers, lung cancer or mesothelioma, again, he can have his case reopened and seek further compensation.
Thank goodness for someone like Sarah. We're grateful, aren't we?
Yeah,
Rodney?
very grateful.
We're very, very grateful.